Hi, I'm Corey. Welcome to Creating with Scraps. Today's JJ 10-minute mix is going to be a little bit different. I'm not going to necessarily make each of the things that I share with you during the video because I'm going to show you 5 different seed packet pockets. And if I made each one in the 10-minute time frame, it would be about 50 minutes, and it is sufficient to show you how I did it rather than walking you through the entire process. At least I think so. All right, this started because it's a squirrel. And yes, I am still going to bring you the linen and lace and heart pocket and showing you some different things with that. But when I was in Sisters, there's a couple different antique stores there, and one of them had a big barrel of vintage seed packets. And I saw these and I thought, oh, how fun. So I got a couple, and then I had ideas on how to use them. So I asked, and I know not everybody has access to these, and I asked my friend Tracy, I said, hey, do you have anything like this? And so she quickly made up a freebie that's on her Ko-fi, and I will link that below. So that's Tracy Fox Creative, and these are some seed packets that she had made, and it's free on her Ko-fi. So thank you, Tracy, for that. And I could do the exact same things that I'm showing you with these samples with these vintage seed packets. And all I did here is to open it up. So for example here, because of the different ways I wanted to make the pockets with these seed packets, I took my flat edge or straight edge, and then I just kind of carefully worked the glue loose. And I'm showing you this in case you happen to have some vintage seed packets or some seed packets that you want to use. And you just kind of work this whole thing loose, and then you can do all the things with it open. The things that I'm going to show you here. You can open it up and then use it just like that. Oh, look, there was one little seed left, or maybe that's just paper. Anyway, so you can do that with the seed packets. If you've got vintage seed packets, awesome. But if you don't, you can still make along. And I'll show you these 5, and actually I'll show you the 5 first. Okay. This is the digital that Tracy created. This is one of them. This is one of the seed packet pockets. And again, Tracy Fox Creative, it's her Ko-fi, and it's a freebie. And this is another one. And then she made a couple cards that you can either use just like this, put it on a piece of paper, put it on the front, and then trace around and make a pocket that way. Or you can just back these or print these on cardstock instead and use these as journaling cards, which is what I'll probably do with these because they're absolutely beautiful too. So honestly, I'll probably fussy cut some of those pansies. But anyway, my point is that there's lots of options with just what she kindly created for us. All right. A standard seed packet, well, I don't even know, maybe there isn't a standard size. The seed packets that I have are just a little bit smaller than the one that Tracy created. Now, maybe they're a different size in the UK and the US, or maybe they change sizes over the years. I have no idea. But the one that Tracy created is a little bit larger, which is absolutely fine. And so if you print it out on your printer, I have to switch mine to landscape rather than portrait, but that's the only change. And I print it like this, and this is the size that it comes. I also changed it on one of them because mine offers a print picture size, and this is an 8x10, and it's still a little bit bigger, but it's smaller than the standard. And then this guy is, I printed it 5x7, and then I could have gone smaller and smaller too. And I also have the option to print multiple per page. So what would be, I think would be really fun with this is print it on card and then print it a little bit smaller and then make it a dangle, because I think that would be really cute. But I just wanted to show you that even though the size isn't exact, the function is the same. And that is the purpose for sharing these. All right. Oh, the other thing I wanted to show you. I printed these on this paper. Epson presentation paper matte. It's what? GSM. Where's the GSM? 102 GSM. 4.9 milliliters, 8.5 by 11. It's these. This is what I printed most of this on. But I also used Epson presentation paper matte, and then the thicker one, the heavy duty or heavyweight or whatever they call it. And instead of 100 sheets per pack, it's 50 sheets per pack. And I keep both of them on hand because I like them a lot. But just be aware that they print differently. So this is the heavyweight card, printed at the same time, same day, just different papers. So I don't know how well you can see it there, but this is much more vibrant. I like the vintage look, so this works perfectly for what I want. But if you're wanting something brighter, maybe choose, I won't say better quality, but a heavier weight paper or a different type of paper, because you can see they do print differently. Okay, so there's that. So now I will show you the 5 different ways. Okay, you saw how they come. You just cut it out, and then you've got a seed packet, right? When you've got it all cut out, you have something that looks like this. And you can use it just like a standard seed packet would. You fold one side, you fold the other side, you glue this down on 2 sides, right? And then here's your open, and that's a seed packet. And you can use it exactly like that, and it's perfect. Just like we would use it here, basically. You can use it as a seed packet, makes a great pocket. You can tuck something in. So that doesn't count as one of my 5 ways, but you can use it just like it comes. One way that you could use it and cut it out, and it's very little alteration, is you could put it, you can put it inside a signature. Here we go. Because of the way that, so if you're making a signature to sew into your journal, like this one, this signature happens to be sewn in already. But if I were putting this signature together to sew into my journal, I guess there's 2 signatures there. All right, one way to do it. So you've got your seed packet, right? And don't glue anything down yet or do anything closed. You've got to open just like this, right? You cut it, you've inked if you're going to ink, and it's ready to go. And you put it in your journal exactly like this, as the center of your signature. And then you sew in your signature. And once your signature is sewn in, then you fold, fold, and fold, because this piece is going to be attached. However, if you did a 3-hole or a 5-hole or sewed it in with a machine, however you attached it. And then it'll flip open and close like this, right? And you've got a pocket inside your journal that's a seed packet. Okay, so that is way number 1. I'm not, like I said, I'm not counting the way it just prints. So way number 1 is as a signature insert. Okay, I started playing with transparencies and window film because I thought that would be kind of fun. And true story, I could not find any seeds in my house, and these seed packets came empty. And I know I have bird feed in the garage, but I couldn't get in there. And I don't have any sunflower seeds or caraway seeds or poppy seeds or chia seeds or any of the seeds in my cupboard. I just haven't baked much since we lost Tim. So I had no seeds to access. And like I said, my husband had gone to work and I couldn't get in the garage to get the bird seed to use. So I cheated, and just for the sake of the sample, this is crushed black pepper. I was going for the everything but the bagel seasoning. And again, it was just to show you the sample and how to do that. So, sometimes you have to improvise. And there's window film on this one, which is why you're getting that nasty glare. And this is another way. So this is, we'll call this way 3. No, way 2. So way 1 was in the journal as a signature. Way 2 is, so you cut it out exactly like this. And because I don't have seeds, I'm not going to show you. You cut it out exactly like this. And then you take a piece of transparency, window film, what have you, and you cut it to the same size as this. And I think it's about 3 3/4, or maybe it's 4 by 5 3/4, something like that, the way it printed on mine. So I cut a piece of window film or transparency, right? And then I used a little bit of tape and I sewed it down on 3 sides. I like to sew. I wouldn't do this with glue. You could, but I wouldn't. I would sewed it on 3 sides, and then I opened it up and I tucked my, crushed black pepper in this case, but we'll pretend my flower seeds in here, and then I closed it up and sewed this side and trimmed it. All right, so before I did anything else, I did this. And if you're going to ink before you put your transparency on, because it's really hard to ink afterwards. So, whoops, sorry about that. So just a suggestion. So glued this on, or sewed this on, tucked the seeds in, and then sewed it closed. And then when it was in this state and I had my quote unquote seeds inside, then I flipped it over and I cut the top flap, this piece off. Cut the top flap off, chop, chop, chop. And I folded over this flap and this flap, and I glued this down. And I just glued along the side and the bottom, right? So now I've got a pocket. I've got a pocket back here. I've got the seeds in the front and I've got the pocket. And then I took the top flap that I had cut off and I trimmed it down and I put it along the top of this mini notepad of paper, right? Just when I cut this off, I took it off, trimmed it, and put it right on top. And I made myself a little notepad of paper to tuck inside the pocket. And then you can just, whoops, that's not going all the way down. Then you can just tuck this inside of a pocket in a journal, right? Okay. Oh, I know, because I had it, there we go. There, I wanted it to go down longer. So that is way number 2, with film and the seeds or pretend seeds right on top, okay? You can do a single piece of paper. You don't have to do multiple sheets by any means, but that is way number 2. All right, way number 3 also uses window film, but this one I did a little tiny bit different. Instead of having the window film on the top, I put the window film on the inside. And then I've got still a pull-out journaling card, and you have the same image on the inside. And let me walk you through how I did that. Okay, so here is my base again. Here's my base. And then I cut it out just like the other, and then I flipped it over. And I have a little piece of card that I centered, right? And then I drew around. I can do this part. I don't have a ton of these extras already cut out. Drew it around just like this, okay? And so I'll show you how I do this part. And then I used a cutting mat and, whoops, and a straight edge and a ruler and here. And let's see, am I in frame? Make sure that you can see what I'm doing. All right, so I used my straight edge. I took my little piece of chipboard that was the right size, and then now I'm cutting around the inside edge of this. This is on the inside. I didn't draw it on the outside, I drew it on the inside, so that if I make a mistake or a line shows or something, it won't show because it'll be on the inside. So I'm using my straight edge and cutting. I'm going to cut all 4 lines. Oops, you can see there. I goofed. Rather than holding it straight to the edge, that's okay. Doesn't have to be perfect, but it is easier if you push it right up to that edge. And 4. Okay, so let's see if I cut to the corners. Nope, I did not. With the light on here, the glare, it's really hard to see where the corners are, to see if I matched up the corners to cut it. But I can come back now and fix that. Okay, now I'm going to save this too, because I used it on another piece. So here is my window. Then I did not use this one. I took an extra because I printed several of each. So here, let's go. Here we go. There's one of this one. There's several of each. So what I did was I just took a second one, and I'll save those pieces because I used them for other things. Took a second one and I cut it just slightly inside these lines. Just a little bit. I'm going to save those extra pieces. And I saved this piece. Okay, and now if you're going to ink, now is a great time to ink. And when I'm inking inside corners, because with the regular dauber, it's not as easy to ink those inside. So I get an eye makeup sponge, and I use the edge of the eye makeup sponge to get the corners. And then I'll come in and get those corners inked so that they're not white. And I don't do the whole thing that way. I just these corners, because it's hard to get that big sponge in there. And it doesn't really matter which side you use. I mean, they both work. It's just a sponge. And 4. So there's a tip if you're new or wondering how you ink those. Okay, so ink, and then I'll ink the rest really quickly. If you're going to ink, if you don't ink, it saves a lot of time. Now, a lot of these 10-minute makes, honestly, some of them, you can take almost 10 minutes inking the darn things. So keep in mind, if you're going to ink, it could potentially change the amount of time it takes to do your project. But every single one of these I was able to do, and once I'd figured out how I wanted to do it, I was able to do it in the 10-minute time frame. And I'm not a speedy crafter at all. I get sidetracked and I try different things, and I think, I wonder if this would work. And so I'm not a production machine in the least. But there you go. Okay, so this is done. Where did I put that piece of window film? Probably put it on here, because I like to have a tray when I work so that I don't lose all my things. But that doesn't mean I don't lose them all. I just had it in my hand, so I know it's around here somewhere. Well, where'd I put it, guys? Oh, here it is. You guys are probably saying, Corey, it's right in front of you. And yes, it is. All right. Put those to the side. Put this here. Okay, so I've inked around the inside edge, and now I'm going to cut my transparency to fit the inside. I don't want it to fit exactly. I want it to be just a smidge smaller than my inside dimensions. So I will mark it with a pencil, mark it with a pen. Doesn't really matter. I can see it on this. I don't know if you can see it, but I can. Just marked it a little bit smaller. Didn't have to measure, just use that as a guide. And then I'm going to trim off where I marked. And I save these little bits because I use them. Okay. So, piece of window film. Then, just a tip. This didn't rust initially, and it said, if you watched the previous video, I showed you that this particular sewing pin, quilting pin, heat resistant, didn't rust. It did. After it had been in here a couple days, it rusted. And honestly, it still gums up. The diameter of this pin is smaller than the ones that come when you buy art glitter glue. And so the glue kind of gloms on the side. So it's not it works, but it's not my favorite. Just FYI. So I'm going to put just a tiny bit of glue. And all I'm doing is putting enough to hold it down until I'm ready to move on. It may hold it permanently, but I don't know. And I don't want a lot because then it'll seep out underneath the window frame. All right, so I put a piece of window film. Now, because I like to sew, I would sew around the edges. If you don't sew, then you don't need to. Okay. I've got this, and I cut out... where did I put it? Is it this one? Nope, that's not the right one. That's the other side. So it's got to be in my tray, my work in progress tray. Oh, here it is. Okay, here we go. This is the second piece that I cut out, right? I've still saved the piece that I cut out for here, and I'm going to save this and use this. We're going to use this for something else. But you can see this piece is a little bit larger, the one that was on the other side of the second envelope. So I'm going to use the larger piece, and I am going to put it in here. Now, when I put it on the inside, I want it to line up with the front so that it matches. So I just put a strip of glue, just like that, right? Just a strip of glue, because then that gives me a little bit of flexibility. And then when I'm lining it up, I can actually match it up where I want it to go. See, like here's the date, and there's the Young and Sons. And so I can push it down like this. It's lined up where I want it to be. And then I'll come back. Whoops. Well, I didn't make that straight, did I? But I can come back and fix. Like this, I want to alter it. I want to move it in just a smidge. And then I'll come and glue the rest of it down. And same thing at the top, especially the top. I can add the extra glue that I need to hold it in place so that I can use it as a pocket without it popping up. So if I don't glue this part down well, when I try to tuck something in there, it's going to catch. It'll catch. Okay, and I made this a little bit too wide, so I'm going to trim that. Yeah, I still want to share. I've got actually a couple more projects that I'm going to share with you. My list of 10-minute makes keeps growing and growing, which is crazy, and then I want a squirrel. Okay, so that fits. All right, so you can see now that inside matches, and that's when I will... where did it go? Which one is it? It's this one. Okay. So here you go. I sewed around this one. I did not sew around this one. Same thing. I'm going to cut off the top because I want to use that. Okay. Cut off the top, and I will push this together, and then this time, now watch what happens. If I glue it down the way it's intended, just to glue here and here, well, then you can see what happens. You can see that strip on the inside. I could trim it down and make it really narrow, or because of the way I'm making my pocket, I can do this and roll it down, because you've got a little bit of rollability, right? I can roll it here and roll it here. And instead of gluing it on the inside like it's designed, I just glue it on the outside. And I still have the same pocket, right? I still have the same dimension, the same workability, same function, but I don't have, and then this would glue down in my book, in my journal. Now, when I'm making these before, because I ink, before I glue all the pieces together, I would ink this top edge because that's going to show a little bit. I would ink, well, this part, actually this part won't show. I would ink all the way around here. Like you can see, that's not straight. So I would trim it up and make it straight and ink all the way around. And then when I'm ready to put this in my book, I glue it in just like this. So if you're taking the tag out, you've got the entire image. And then this is just the top, glued down to the top of a piece of card. And then I used a badge hole punch. Now I fussy cut the extra pieces, and I just glued them on top to give some interest to this card. And that is way number 3. I think that's way number 3. It goes in this one. This is the one we just made. Okay. So let's see. This was number 2. In the journal is number 1. I'm going to pull this out. So in the journal as a signature is number 1. With the fake seeds is number 2. The alternate window pocket is number 3. Okay. Number 4. Let's see, which one did this go in? Did this go? Nope, this didn't go. That went in there. Okay. Sorry, I'm confusing myself. Number 4. So again, let's grab, here, this one's cut out. I'll show you with the sample. This is the other one that she made. Cut it out just like regular. But in this case, I cut off the top and I cut off the bottom. Well, you know what? Let's just show you. I cut off the top and I cut off the, if I can pick it up. And I'll save those bits too because there's ways to use them. And in fact, I think we use them on the next one. All right, so I cut off the top, cut off the bottom. Whoops, didn't cut that very well. Okay. Then, in this particular case, I wanted a little bit of dimension on the front. So I use Nouveau Crystal Glaze, and I put it on just these pieces of the flowers, and I dried it with the heat tool, or you can sit it and let it dry either way. And then fold it on the crease lines. When I'm folding on the crease lines, personal preference, you can score it, but if you don't have a scoreboard or you don't want to use a scoreboard to pull it out for this, because you certainly don't need to, pardon me. What I will often do is take a piece of heavy card or chipboard or what have you and line it up where I want it to fold, and then I just fold it back on it. And that seems to work really well. And you can see the same thing here. I'm just going to lay it down on the line and fold it back like that. And then I get a straight line, I get it where I want it, and just a tip. Okay. And again, there's rollability here and a little bit of wiggle room, so if you didn't line it up exactly, you can still roll it afterwards. All right, so we've taken the top and bottom off. I'm going to save those because we'll use them for the next piece. And then I sewed a little notebook. So I opened it up, sewed a little notebook, and put it on the left-hand side. Then this closes up and closes up, right? So I'm going to put my little notebook here. You don't have to sew it. You can just put a couple pieces of paper there, whatever. So close it up, close it up. And that is way number 4. And this, I would tuck it inside of a pocket, right, as a journaling spot. Way number 5 is just a tiny bit different. Here, let's go back with this again. Okay, so I started off with this, and I did not cut the top or the bottom off, okay? Here, I fussy cut the top. So I took this exactly as it is. I folded it. I took an extra piece and fussy cut some of the flowers, and I partially glued them down on the front. So you can see here, there's the base, and I partially glued them down on the front so that I would have a journaling tuck spot on the front. And you can see here, I didn't glue it straight, so it doesn't say exactly straight in there. That's okay. I can put a little bit more glue. Well, if the glue was working, I could put a little bit more glue to make my line straight. A lot of times when I'm putting glue down, I'll take a ruler and put glue on that edge of it so that I'm sure it's straight, but I was in a rush and didn't do it right that time. All right, and so I've got a pocket on the front. The way this one is designed to work is just like this. So I folded it exactly as we did the base model. Where's the base model? It's around here somewhere, I think. Oh, heck, did I use it for something else? Probably. Well, here, we can use this one. This is the card one. Folded it just like a regular base model, but I glued this piece down, and I glued this piece right on top of it. The flap, or the fold over piece, I glued that right on top of it. But before I glued it, so it's going to be like this, before I glued it, I took the extra pieces that I'd cut off on the other card, saved those. We'll pretend this is the same pattern, but you'll be able to see. I saved those, right? And I glued the cutoff bit right here for the top flap and right here for the bottom flap. So I took my base and I glued those extra bits on the top and the bottom. Okay, and then I folded them the way they're on their line, the way they're designed to be folded, just like so. Okay, just like that. So, glued and inked this piece, glued and inked this piece. Folded this in, though I don't suppose you have to, you could cut that off, but I just like the way it looked when it glued it down. So this whole thing is flat, right? Now I've got this flap is covered, this flap is covered. And when I put it in my journal, I'm going to put it in my journal just like this. I am going to glue this bottom flap only, the one that I did not glue into the booklet, I'm going to glue this bottom flap where I want it on my page. Let's just say this is my page. I'm going to glue just this down. I'm going to glue the front side of it, and I'm going to glue it down like this. So when I open my journal, it will look just like this in my journal. But I got a journaling spot on the front, but when I open this up, I drop it down. Whoops. Yeah, is that right? Yes, I drop it, had to think about that. I drop it down for a minute, right? Okay, so here it is in my book. I drop it down and I drop this flap, okay? This is actually the top. So I glue, drop down this flap, and I have a pull out journaling space. Okay, it's a fold up and it's double-sided. So I've got lots and lots of journaling space. So here is the back that you've already glued down, right? Now it's upside down. And then this extra bit that we had left over from, you know, that piece we cut out of the window. Here we go, this one. This piece we cut out of the window goes on top here. Well, this one I used the other piece, but I used this back piece. But you can put the top piece that goes on the window right here for this bit, holds it in place. So when you open this up, you drop it down, you drop your flap, and then you've got your drop down journaling. So glue, right, just like this. Let's see, it's upside down now. Glue it just like this. Then I took my paper, and in this particular case, I had a long bit of paper, and then I cut it to width, and then I glued the paper onto here, right? Glued this paper on right here, and then I folded and folded because I had a long enough piece of paper, cut it to width. Then I glued this pattern piece of paper on front, and then when I drop this down, it allows me to pull the journaling paper down. Okay, and that's way number 5. So let's pull them back out, so because I'm confused, so maybe somebody else is too. Okay, so let's see. Way number 5 is drop down journaling with a journaling pocket on front. Way number 4 is a writing booklet that you tuck into a pocket. Way number 3 is buried on this mess somewhere. Here we go, 3 and 2 are right there. Way number 3 is a pull out journaling spot. Okay, double-sided. Way number 2 is a transparency film over the top with a journaling pocket and a journaling notepad that tucks inside. Because I made this in layers. There we go, because there's 3 or 4 layers thick, so that's why it doesn't always slide in. And then way number 1, we'll just pull this, is as a signature inside your journal. And then of course you could always just use it as a seed packet. That was fun. It was fun to play with. It was fun to do, and I so appreciate Tracy gifting us and making those for us to use and play with and enjoy. Now I figured out when I was playing with these a couple more ways, but I'll save that for another time. There's some, good options there as just different ways to use seed packets if you happen to have seed packets, or just to include these. And this nice thing about the flowers is they don't have to be in a gardening themed journal. They will work with just about any journal. And Tracy did such a lovely job with these. They'll work with just about any kind of journal you choose to make. All right. I've got a couple more videos to catch up on. I've noticed a couple of people have joined in and played with the JJ 10-minute makes, and that always makes me happy because we do learn best from each other. Hopefully on Tuesday or Wednesday, I'll be able to get you the next video, and I plan to make a few more really quick ones right after that. So seed pockets 5 ways, Thank you for watching. Thank you for participating and all of the kind comments. It really makes my day. Take care. Happy creating.